Mike has always been curious about the strange smell coming from his neighbor's house. The old man next door is a recluse, rarely seen outside, but the occasional whiff of something meaty being cooked always catches Mike's attention. One night, after a particularly strong aroma wafts through his window, Mike decided to investigate. He sneaked into the neighbor's yard and peeked through the basement window, only to witness the old man carving up a human body. Mike stumbled back, horrified, but his foot catches on something bones. The yard was littered with human remains, half buried in the dirt. Before Mike could scream, a hand clasped over his mouth. The old man whispered into his ear,
"You shouldn't have come here, boy. I was just gonna invite you over for dinner."
Mike started feeling faint. He felt like his body was falling freely into a void. The last thing that he heard was the sound of a shovel being dragged across the ground.
James, an avid hunter, was invited by a group of elite hunters to join them on a special expedition deep in the woods. They promised him the thrill of a lifetime, a hunt unlike any other. He met them on a site created for hunters on Facebook, and he prepared excitedly for that day. They met on the edge of the woods, 5 strong men kitted suitably for the terrain they were going to explore. As they trekked, James noticed strange things on the trails. The bones of animals too large to be local wildlife, and traps that seemed designed for something much bigger. Finally they reached a secluded cabin, where the group revealed their true game. They hunt humans. James was their latest prey, chosen for his skills to make the hunt more sporting. James was given a 10 minutes head start. With fear in his eyes, he dropped his heavy gears and started running haphazardly around trees, his eyes wild. He couldn't believe that he was now a prey. He ran, desperate to make it so as to be alive to warn unsuspecting people that would fall for this kind of scam online. As he ran, he didn't notice the sharp thorns that tore at his clothes and skin. He was bleeding from many cuts and bruises. From the corner of his eyes, he saw the shadow and flashes of someone on his left and his right side, but he didn't want to give up. He was tired but desperate to stay alive. The chase was long and brutal, and he was eventually caught. As they carried him after tying him up, he concluded that his life was over. They tied him to a spit over a fire. The leader of the group congratulated him on giving them a good chase, but informed him that the end was always inevitable. James' screams echoed through the woods as the fire caught at his skin.
When I was 8, my family lived in a neighborhood where everyone knew everyone's business. There was a neighbor whom everyone seemed to adore. He was Mr. Thompson. He was the nicest person I had ever met. He knew every child by name and gave us treats whenever he returned from work. When he first moved into our neighborhood, most of our neighbors gossiped about him. They said that he was single with no children, even though he was obviously mature. But as the years wore on, they relaxed when they saw how handy and helpful he was. He could multitask and he quickly became everyone's favorite. The children most especially liked his food. His pies were something to die for. My mom even told me, while we were eating one of his pies, that she would ask for his recipe. One day, 2 of my playmates went missing. We were all shocked. The neighbors organized search parties and Mr. Thompson was at the forefront leading the search. That period was a dark time in our lives, losing Clara and Emma. They were our friends and a great loss to us, the children. I couldn't sleep well because I was always thinking about them. Some eyewitnesses said they saw them playing with other kids, but when they looked again, the children were gone, like they had gone home after play. From then on, my neighborhood beefed up the security and every parent kept a watchful eye on their kids during play. Fast forward to 15 years later and I was shocked to see Mr. Thompson on my TV screen being led in handcuffs by the police. At first I didn't know it was him because he was looking old and emaciated. He was accused of butchering and devouring over 20 people, including children. The police felt his victim would be more than that. They found so many shallow graves at his backyard. I quickly called my mom because she was still living at our old house even after my dad's demise. When I called her up, she was crying over the phone. She said she was about calling me and she was with our neighbors and that they were shocked. That was the last thing they were expecting to hear that morning. That their beloved Mr. Thompson is a serial killer and a cannibal. Then it hit me, if Mr. Thompson is a cannibal, then we had unknowingly partaken in his cannibalism for years. We had been eating his meals.